claiming he has almost $500 million cash on hand. That's just 3 days from the deadline to hand over that huge bond payment in New York for his appeal. This is what Trump posted. Through hard work, talent, and luck, I currently have almost $500 million in cash, a substantial amount which I had intended to use in my campaign for president. Now, we should note that over the course of his long career, Donald Trump hasn't always been the most reliable arbiter of how much money he has in one place or another, but that's the claim he just posted. That comes after, of course, he couldn't find any insurance company to underwrite a bond.
Right.
And we also learned this morning that New York Attorney General, her office, will be allowed to respond to the claim that he couldn't find a bond. With us now, CNN Kara Scannell and former Assistant Special Watergate Prosecutor Nick Ackerman. Kara, this claim from Donald Trump, he says he's got almost $500 million. Has anyone out there in the universe that needs to know, do they have evidence of this yet?
I mean, this is clearly going to be something that you expect the New York Attorney General's office to seize on when they respond, now that they've got permission to in that brief. I did talk to Trump's attorney this morning, and he was explaining to me what Trump meant by this. He said that what Trump is talking about is the money that he has reported on his campaign disclosure forms that he's built up through years of owning and managing successful businesses. That is the very cash that Letitia James and the Democrats are targeting. So he's trying to say that this $500 million is the amount that Trump has said that he has earned from all of his properties, which he has publicly disclosed, not saying that it is actually what he has on hand now, because he's already posted a $100 million bond for E. Jean Carroll, roughly. And, but that still would leave about $350 million. Their position is that they can't put all of that into a bond because they have to run the business and do payroll and those sorts of things. But that is the explanation to get behind what Trump said today.
All right, I just want to follow up on that 1 second, because you've been on the phone doing reporting on this with the attorney. The attorney's saying, oh, this is Trump just saying what he has earned over time. It's not
Trump
like...
is not saying what he's saying.
Yeah, Trump is not out there saying, I've been out there with hat in hand collecting this money over the last few days. I'm about to hand this over to New York.
Correct. That is not addressing the amount he actually has amassed, because that is a good question. Did this mean he just got money in his pocket? And the answer is no. This is what he has publicly said he has made over time from all of these properties, as according to his most recent disclosure form, not what he actually has in hand. And it's interesting, there was some debate the other day about whether Trump had any foreign money, because one of his attorneys was on Fox and was asked about that. Now, this lawyer was also telling me that it is categorically absolutely not true that they are taking any money from Russia or Saudis or any other foreign money. Said it's not under consideration, nor has there been at any time. So trying to very much take that question off the table, obviously very controversial, potential conflicts of interest galore, saying categorically no, they're not accepting or seeking or considering any foreign money.
Nick, what, one, do you think of Donald Trump saying this out loud while he's running up against this deadline? And two, what do you think of the options that he has left? Because while he's saying stuff, it doesn't seem that the options are changing that he's got in order to beat this deadline.
That's absolutely correct. But keep in mind, whatever the source of that money is, if he really has $500 million in his pocket somewhere, Barbara Jones, who is the special master that has been assigned to oversee this case, is going to have every right to trace that money back to wherever it came from. So this idea of whether it comes from the Saudis, the Russians, or from his own earned money is all going to be brought out and is going to be investigated on the spot. So we're going to know the answer to that question. In terms of his other options, they're not very good. One is that he files for bankruptcy, which means that he would have to file for personal bankruptcy. Already back in the 1990s, he filed for bankruptcy 6 times, not personal, but for all these various companies, all of which basically led to him stealing money from the government by not reporting taxes properly, by stealing from his family, by having his father sign a will when he was basically not able to understand what was going on, and taking money from the Russians, but finally having to actually file real statements about his financial worth, all of which turned out to be false and have come back to bite him, that may ultimately lead him to file for bankruptcy again. His other option is to try and get money from other people, And that's not so easy. $500 million is not an easy amount to come up with. And thirdly, he's got this potential option with this new media company that he's got, that he has stock in. But even there, for somebody to put up $500 million, even several people to put
well,
that
isn't
up.
that also hard because he's not? You can't sell all the money you get on one of these deals.
Right, you can't sell the stock.
It's not really that good of an option.
No,
it's
not.
restricted for 6 months at least out of the gate, and that value is going to fluctuate because there's always kind of the bump when something goes public. It could come right down.
That's right, and that's the problem.
So Kara, this claim, which now turns out to be specious, it turns out to be not him saying I've got $500 million, but saying that is what I had or have earned. Didn't he a few days ago said it was impossible for him to come up with that money? I mean, in an actual court filing.
Right. I mean, he was saying he does not have enough cash to secure a bond because all of these insurance companies that he talked to, they will only take cash or stock. They will not take property as collateral. And based on the bond size plus the extra amount that he has to add to the bond in order to post it, would come up to more than $500 million. And even if you go by the math that I just kind of went through, that means you have about $350 million, and that's to run the company. So that's not even enough to cover the ultimate collateral to get the bond.
So I guess what I'm asking, I'm so sorry,
okay.
But if you're the appeals court who's got to decide whether to reduce the money or not, won't you look at this post on Truth Social and say, wait a second, you just told me you have the money, you're saying it's impossible. Why should we give you any grace here if you're saying you've got it?
That's right. I mean, that is the dumbest thing he could have possibly done to put that on Truth Social, because that is a direct admission by him that he has the money. Now, keep in mind, even with this operating money or cash that he supposedly has, if he doesn't pony up and put up a bond, Letitia James is going to be able to go in and basically put restraining orders on all of his bank accounts, everything that relates to him, and all of that money is going to be tied up and frozen. So if he's really got that money, he's got to put it up.
You have also new reporting. Explain this one to me. The AG has now gotten the green light to respond to some of this?
Right, because when Trump posted his court filing the other day, which he said, we tried to get this money from 30 different insurance companies, we can't do it. Her office said, hey, we want to respond to this because we want to know what he actually has done to try to do this.
You want to see the work on that?
We want to see what properties he's offered, what the terms were posted by the insurance companies, and really try to get underneath how hard is he trying to do this and what extent has he really gone. And so now the court is saying you can respond to that. And they also are still opposing him posting a fraction of it. They're saying, why can't you get several insurance companies to come together and do this if one won't do it? Of course, Trump's side, their position is they still would need the cash, and they still don't have that cash.
Kara Scannell, Nick Ackerman, thank you both so much. I honestly feel like I understand this so much better now. All these things that have developed over
really
just the last
helpful.
few minutes, you really put it in the right perspective. Appreciate it.
Thanks, you guys.